Actually, you don't need a motion, do we?
Meeting's
Go.
open, 6:31.
Go for it, Chairman.
This meeting, as always, is being broadcast live and digitally recorded, so please know that. And we'll start off, as always, with open session. Is anybody here for open session? No? Okay. Fran?
Okay, first item is Joyce Green to have the board sign the election warrant. Joyce?
Good evening.
Good evening, Joyce.
So I have 5 copies of the annual town election warrant requiring your signatures. And I will just pass them around one by one because I gotta sign them also. And start that end, I guess. Thank you.
That's it?
Any questions?
Nope.
Very good.
Okay.
Thanks,
Yep,
Joyce.
thank you, Joyce.
Thank you.
Okay, next item is Norman Brown has asked to come before the board to discuss a, do you want some property?
go first. I'll go second.
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Ben Axelman, and I work with Nexamp, a solar company. We're the company that built the project off of Pitcherville Road a couple years ago. And we're here in front of you for another project on Pitcherville Road. We started working with Norman Brown on doing a roughly 1.5 or 2 megawatt ground-mounted solar project on the Pitcherville Sand and Gravel site, which I've got a conceptual layout here. We're in the early stages of this. We're pulling together the plans at this point and preparing to put together a submission to the planning board under the existing solar bylaw. The reason that I'm in front of you tonight is, one, to introduce myself and let you know that this is something that we're looking at, but access to this site is through a piece of town-owned property off of Pitcherville Road. And in my discussions with Norman, it seems as though Pitcherville Sand and Gravel has been using this access road for a long time informally. There's no right-of-way formally in place. So in order to move forward with the project, we would want to see some sort of documentation of that right-of-way. So I will honored to begin that conversation with you about
Documentation of what?
of the ability of Norman Brown to utilize that road for access, for construction and operation of a solar facility, and then also, since we would need to interconnect to the grid, wanted to discuss installing some utility poles along that road or somewhere else within that property to tie the solar electricity that we're generating on the site into the grid off of Pitcherville Road.
What would somewhere else on the property be?
So there, based on my understanding of the site, there's the existing road, and then there's an old cart path off of that road. That would also be an alternative place for the poles. So one of the two. I think there's both the existing gravel roadway, and then there's an old cart road that I believe is wooded now. It's just a paper road, but either one of those would work. So this is something that we would ultimately need to do for financing of the project, but I wanted to bring this up early on in the process to get a sense of whether or not it would be possible to get this documentation as part of de-risking the project and giving us the confidence to move forward with our proposed development.
Rand, where do we stand in terms of the town owning that process?
Town council's still looking into it. We do have to do a title search, and so it's still up in the air whether we can property or not.
Are we,
At the
from our standpoint, from the standpoint of our attorneys, we have two rights of access across the property. One is a right by adverse possession, and that's the right to utilize the old cart path that was utilized for years. The other one is a right of pass and repass by deed. We have a deeded right to pass and repass. That has been in the deeds for the property when a property was subdivided in 1862. So, in 1862, this was one contiguous. The three parcels that are the town parcel, the Brown parcel, and the Pitcherville parcel, and the Marinelli parcel were 100-acre parcel or a 40-acre parcel. That was called the Great Farm. Was purchased by the child's family, and when they subdivided into three sections, it was given rights to pass and deeded rights to pass and repass, which should never go away.
Do you have that with you, Norman?
We have we've done all the title work. We spent 5 years in court with Marinelli on this very
But did you bring
question.
the right away with you on your deed?
Which right away? The
If
original
it's on
deed?
your deed,
No,
correct.
yeah, I can present the whole package to the board. It took 2 years to research it all. We had title work done over a 2-year period. But we have our deeded right of way across the Marinelli property through the courts, which would be the same material that would be utilized if we had to, which
So
we
you need
won't.
permission for the
Yeah.
poles and everything.
Yeah, which would be the same paperwork that would justify the deeded right of way across the town parcel.
Would this kind of be like a utility easement?
That's what it would be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
It would be utility.
My only concern, Norman, is just that we still have a lot of material in there left.
Well, that's what we've talked, we went to see the planning board. And one of the comments that was made in the planning board was maybe we would utilize this road over here
On the
so that
side.
we don't impact to where we connect with the Marinelli right away, so that we don't impact
Yeah, 'cause
the removal of that road if you.
Yeah, because eventually our property, if we prove ownership of it, it should be
Right.
brought down to Pitcherville Road level.
Right.
But if you put it at the top of that slope, we're gonna have to stay away. It'd be nice,
Exactly.
you know.
That's why we've been to, the conversation, I think, is gonna lead in this direction, that we utilize this road, which is along the property line.
Yeah.
So from
Yeah,
our
not
from our
this.
perspective, we can place the poles wherever is most convenient to the
Yeah.
town.
For the town.
To the
Certain-
left,
Yeah.
I think the left side of that pit is more exhausted.
Mhm.
This side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I would prefer to run them from my property right up to Pitcherville Road on the left, but I don't have permission across the Marinelli property there. My permission, and I only run across the Marinelli property for about 100 feet. But my deeded right of way across the Marinelli property doesn't go that way. Now, the only way that I would be able to do it that way would be get the Marinellis to agree to give us an easement, utility easement, to give us utility easement to go, this one's got wet, so you have to excuse it. Here's my deeded easement across the Marinelli property right now. And, we go, I own up to here. So all I would need from the Marinellis would be this much space. I wouldn't need an easement very, very large, just for pole, you know. If we can get them to agree to that, then we could run it right down, because your pit is exhausted on that side.
Yeah, I mean, it's still probably going another 10 feet even on that side, but,
Yeah,
and then there's the issue of getting that slope, our slope finished too,
Mhm.
if we have to loom that slope.
to accommodate it, yeah.
It'd be nice if that slope was loomed
Mhm.
and then your poles went in if we decided to go that route.
Sure.
But if we go over here and you did go up here, like I said, you're gonna be way up high, and then when we go if we ever cut that slope, we're gonna have to stay away from the poles,
We'd have
leave
to
that
leave
much more
we'd
material.
have to leave a buffer, right.
Yeah.
We'd
Sure.
have
Yeah,
to
it's
leave
a
a
lot.
buffer in place.
Material.
Sure. So it sounds as though it's most likely going to be most beneficial to run the poles along
For the town.
for the town.
For the town, but I don't know if I can do that.
And then we'd have to
'Cause I don't own it.
approach Marinelli about about adding an additional right of way for poles along here.
And then in the future, this road may.
There is one other alternative over here, and that's Mark. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
Mark is a planning board member
Okay.
who owns this property on this
Yeah.
side of here.
And so
Do we grant the easement, or does that have to go to town?
It would have to go
vote?
to town vote. So you would have to determine ownership of the land first, and then if we do own the land, then it would go to town vote.
And I'm not familiar with the history of the
Even if
title
we
of
have
the
a deeded
property,
right,
so-
even if we have a deeded right away already.
Well, if it's not our property, then we can't grant the easement.
Well, that's obvious, right? I mean, if this isn't, so I don't know how up to speed you are.
Yeah.
One sec, Finn. I'll get you.
Just,
One sec, Finn.
sorry.
No problem. Just let me just finish that thought, and then I'll give it to you. Okay. We've recently-ish, it's come up whether or not we actually own that property.
Okay,
So we're currently looking into that,
gotcha.
and the planning board is as well. So go ahead, Vin.
I just wanted to make a point of information that we're perhaps better off stating that the people who contend they own the property have got to prove that they own it. I don't think there's any question in my mind that we own it. There may be some technicalities, but I don't think it's correct that the town put us into the position that we need to prove ownership. I think the people who are claiming against it need to prove that they own it.
Fair. I mean, I can't disagree with that.
Yeah, because we've been using it for.
I know. I can't. I mean,
30 years.
it's. I can't disagree with that. So, where do you think we're at time frame wise on having any idea? It shouldn't be like the most difficult thing to figure out.
I would say the next step is a title search.
Okay.
So I would say, you think a week for a title search? A week.
Okay.
Probably have something by the 30th.
Okay. All right. Well, clearly, so let's just play this out now. So
Yeah,
assume
absolutely.
that we.
Sure, absolutely.
Because
yep.
you came in for that reason. So
Yep.
let's just assume that's the direction it goes in.
Mhm.
Because if it's not, it's a whole other problem that you guys have
Sure,
to deal with. So let's just be positive
Yeah.
and assume that's the scenario is that we own it. So you are discussing a few things. One is we'd be in favor of it, and then in what direction to go. So let's get back on that
Exactly. Those two.
conversation.
Exactly.
That's exactly where we're at.
Okay, so I guess it just in the interest of asking you to guess, you mentioned the years it has taken to obtain this. Does that lead you to believe it will take you years to figure out going that way?
No, this would not be a court matter. This would be a simple agreement. If people agree to do it, yes. If people don't agree to do it, it's no. In other words, this easement now is by court order my only access in and off of my property.
Right.
Across the Marinelli property. So, by court agreement, they can't stop me, and this is my legal right to go in and out. That
Very different.
doesn't pertain to over here.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So it would be a question of we could approach the Marinellis and say, hey, we'd like to.
Instead of running them all the way up the road,
we'd
we
like
would
to run
like
it
to
this
just.
way, and
jump
then
over that
see
way.
what they
Beneficial
say.
to them to
It
do
may
that
be more
also.
beneficial
They
to
don't have
them.
poles in the middle of the.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
again, and we're not going to be here forever, right?
Yep.
And just to Jamie's point there, we'd hate to handcuff the next regime, into in perpetuity by having it go that way. So I just think as far as a municipal responsibility, I
Sure.
think we need to have that looked into,
Sure, absolutely.
primarily.
Absolutely.
Norman, going along that slope,
Mhm.
could you get the slope proper for us and loom it?
Possibly. I'd have to look. I don't actually know what the slope looks like. So, could I? Probably. You know what I mean? But I'm retired. I don't own any equipment anymore. Everything, Pitcherville, I sold everything. Everything's gone. So I would have to literally hire somebody to come in and do it,
Yeah,
It's not like I could just bring one of my machines in like it used to be.
Sure.
You
And
just
I'll-
blow a slope in.
Yeah, and I mean, depending on the scope, we could certainly include that in the scope of the solar project as well.
Because if you get that grade proper and loom it, that prevents us as we dig material out from having to even touch where the poles go. So just get that whole area set up for us right there.
Yeah, 'cause
I
don't
have
think
about-
that's gonna go any further. That's.
I have about 10,000 yards of raw loom on my property still. So as far as getting the loom isn't a problem. It's just a question of machine work, machine time.
But these guys come in with machines.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
Machine time.
So we have the potential of a special town meeting in October.
Yep.
do you think that this is something that would be?
Sure.
Yeah, yeah.
No, absolutely.
So, you know,
So I
From
don't
our-
think you're gonna
yeah.
get any resistance in concept from the board at all. I mean, it's a good
Okay.
idea. You're
Yeah.
gonna reuse your property and.
As long as it's in accordance with your reclamation plan that has to
Yep.
do with the planning board and all
Yep,
that sort
I'm
of stuff.
working with planning board on that.
yeah.
So
Sounds
if you
great.
come
So-
back to us with some possibilities with the Marinellis and that little shoot it down and.
Yeah.
You know, that can
That
help
would
us
be
out
my
on
next
that
step, or Mark,
remark.
Whatever, yeah.
Yeah.
or Mark, I can go either side of the,
So it sounds
line.
sure.
And Norman, did you also, you know, they got this farm here?
Yes.
That gentleman did this,
Yeah,
you can't go
We
this
can't
way?
go, no.
Okay.
no, that's,
so-
that project's been,
Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, we ended up selling that project, so we don't own it at the moment. It's owned by Sun Edison. We
But
are
they let you
intending-
come down and tie into their feed out?
We haven't approached them about that. We certainly could if it doesn't look like we're going to be
But
able
that
to
would-
get out on the town land. But you know,
that would defeat
complicate
what you
things.
guys are trying to accomplish. Cause that's over here,
Right.
Yeah, I
and
mean,
you want us over here.
yeah, the easiest path forward is to just use the existing right of way and not deal with. Because once you start tying into another solar project, you start running into
Loads,
some
yeah.
DOER and DPU issues policy-wise. So we'd rather just keep it a completely separate thing and, not try to tie in behind that existing project. So yeah, I guess
Yeah,
the
so
for
maybe come back to us with a couple of possibilities.
Mhm.
sure. So I think the first thing is making sure that is seeing how this title search comes out.
Right.
So if you could let me know once there's some
Sure.
results, that'd be great. I'll give you my card.
Okay,
And then once we have a better understanding there, we can look at putting together a proposal, bring it back to the board, saying as part of the scope of developing the solar project, and say, this is what we're proposing for installing the access road, and then look at getting that on special town meeting in the fall.
Following, discussion with planning board
Sure.
and all that.
Yeah, certainly.
Go ahead, Vin.
I just wanted to comment that Mr. Brown came into the planning board last week or the week before with this idea. And there's no objection, it would be wonderful to see it part of his reclamation project. But also to point out that you folks will have after the special permit is issued for that, you'll have a pilot agreement that would also encompass some of what Mr. Brown's talking about that you'd negotiate at a certain point too. So,
The key word being negotiate.
Sure.
The key word being negotiate.
correct.
Right.
But it would be
Yeah.
part of, I'm sure, of the pilot agreement.
Right.
That
Yeah.
puts everybody in perspective.
So in terms of our timing, I think we'll see how the title search comes out, and then once we know that the town owns it, then that'll give us enough confidence to move forward with permitting the project, get it in front of the planning board and conservation, and then I think that'll put us in a position where the project should be permitted by around the end of the summer, and we'll be well positioned then to come back to you with a package and say, here's the pilot agreement, here's the plan for using the access road, and put a package on for the solar project on the.
How does that align with sort of the SREC schedule?
Sure. So right now the SREC 2 program has been extended through the end of this year. So if you start construction by the end of the year and come online are mechanically complete by the end of March, then you qualify for the SREC program. We may or may not hit that. But based on whether or not they do a net metering cap raise.
Mhm.
If they don't, then this will be teed up for the next program, which they're calling the SMART program. But that starts in the spring, and they're still finalizing the regulations a little bit, but we expect that this project will fit under it either way.
Is SMART an acronym for something? Some clever little acronym?
Yeah,
It is,
exactly. Yeah. Solar something.
Yeah, I won't ask you to
Yeah.
dial that one up.
And this will be a community solar project, so we'll be selling 50% of the output to individual households at a guaranteed 15% discount, as we've done with a bunch of our more recent projects. And then we can look at the possibility of selling some net metering credits to the town of Hubbardston as well.
Yeah, we get that question all the time, so that'd
Yeah.
be something we want to look into.
Yeah, certainly. So
Okay.
sounds
And
good.
just while we're talking about it, Dan, what
Yeah.
I'm thinking is, toe a slope, like maybe if it was a 2-to-1 slope, 10 feet off the toe, a straight utility easement right up along the edge.
Yep.
And however, Norman, you could work this out in the corner.
Yep.
But just so, because for later on,
Yeah.
if we wanted to site this whole pad, you know, we don't have poles going right up the
Yeah,
middle
yeah,
of the 30-foot
yeah,
cut.
absolutely, we understand,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah.
That's all.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and I have two options there, so hopefully one of them will,
Mm-hmm.
will work out.
All right. Well, good luck with that, I guess, and we'll talk to you soon. All right.
Very
sounds
good.
great.
Okay.
Can I ask you
Thank
a
you.
general,
Yeah.
not really this project, a general
Sure.
question that's come up to me, and I don't know the answer, and I've kind of made it up. I didn't even made it up, I just said I don't know. The question has come in various forms over the year or two, is citing solar fields in general, not just in Hubbardston, but in general on gravel pits and places that are non-forested clearly
Sure.
makes sense.
Yeah.
But when solar companies are coming in, they cut down 40 acres, 50 acres of trees and clear
Sure.
cut them,
Mhm.
what is the carbon offset, I guess? Is it better to leave the trees in place, and, or
Yeah.
is it better to have the solar field? Obviously, strictly it's financial, you need land, you wanna put it up, you wanna make money.
Sure.
So that variation of question has come to me a couple times, and I don't have an answer, cause I just don't know.
Sure. So when I've seen the carbon footprint calculations for doing about a megawatt of solar, which is about 5 acres of land, that's the equivalent of around like 1,000 acres of trees being cleared, or 100, or maybe not 1,000, but like 500 or more. So it's a 10-to-1 benefit from a carbon perspective of having solar on the spot versus a treed property. Obviously, we prefer to do it on an open property already that's already been developed, and the DOER has been focusing on incentivizing that and de-incentivizing using virgin land. But from our perspective, there is a pretty strong carbon benefit to doing it on any land, because you're offsetting fossil fuel usage. I'd be happy to pull up some more concrete numbers on that for you.
Yeah, I'd be interested
Yeah.
to see me toss them my way, that'd be great.
Sure, absolutely.
So we will get moving and get back to you
Sounds
later.
good. Thanks for coming
Thank you,
forward.
gentlemen, thanks for
Thank you.
seeing me, I appreciate it.
Okay.
Sounds great. Thanks so much.
All right.
Thanks.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the DPW director position. In your packet is an advertisement, job description wording, and a timeline. I'm not sure if on the timeline, if you wanna move up some of the dates.
So this was used already?
It was, I took a couple of things out, like clerk of the works for the road project.
Yep.
That was removed. Everything else is pretty much the same, changed the dates.
Yep. I mean, I went through it, it's a lot of information, but
Mhm.
it's, I think it's a good idea, to give that extra information to make sure those who wanna get into it really know what they're getting into. Especially with a small town like us where it's just so hands-on, you
Yeah.
know, versus, you know, it becomes very clear when you read this description, you're not gonna be sitting in an office very often.
No, it mentions about 5 times you need to lift 50 pounds.
That's
and
right,
so-
so I think that just has to be something, I mean, that flushes out during interview process and all that, but might as well just have it right off the bat, and it looks good to me.
That's good.
You wanna keep the dates the same, or did you wanna move up on the
Where are
advertising?
they, I don't think where are the dates? Oh, there are the dates.
There.
I mean, there's vacations in season here too, and
Fine with me.
One-
You got one on here.
Go ahead.
What is your time frame? What's your time frame to have this person hired?
Well, this,
according to this, is August 21st.
Really?
well, if you,
Because the roads right now are nasty.
Well, having a DPW director in on June 1st or August 1st isn't gonna pave 80 miles of road, so.
Well,
Yeah, that's still on
That's-
track.
that's-
All that's still on track,
Right,
right?
but just general maintenance.
Yeah, they're
Somebody that's keeping track of that.
Yeah, plus they've been short-handed for.
Right, we're down 2 guys,
Two
so.
guys.
I realize that, but that's why I'm saying.
well, we have we have a timeline in here, and we have a search committee that we have to deal with. I've been on these before, they take time. Search committee, you've gotta get enough applicants, or it's just not worth doing it. Then you've got the review of all that, then you've got the actual formal interviews, it just takes some time. I hear you, as far as what your complaint is, but I don't think we're making this go longer just cause we don't feel like dealing with it. I think we put together a timeline that we thought was reasonable.
Actually, I think this is actually, I think it's too
Aggressive?
too aggressive, but,
Well, we only have till September, so.
Right.
Cause he has to go back to the union.
Right.
Now, the makeup of the search committee last time was Anita, Dennis Perrin, a DPW employee or director from another town, and then 2 others. Do you wanna
Okay.
keep it the same?
What were the two others? Just citizens at large?
Yes. So Alan Mayo from Templeton, he's the DPW director there. I spoke to him on Friday. He's willing to serve on the search committee.
Okay.
So we would just need to open it up to two others.
And Chief?
Chief will do it.
Yeah.
And so it'd just be two others.
Okay.
So we can open it up for two more.
Okay.
Sure.
You okay?
Anybody shown any interest yet?
No.
Jamie just looked down at the ground.
Anyone?
And Blanchard's interested.
Okay.
So I'd shoot him an email.
Alright. Real aggressive schedule, Jamie.
When you say the roads are nasty, what do you mean as a short term, like?
Point of taking out a tie rod, drive around. I'm sure you just go from the hospital back, but drive around the town.
Well, I drive around,
all
trust
the
me, I
time.
drive around.
I cut around this town a lot, and the roads, Mount Jefferson is terrible.
Well, we
Could be
do,
graded, could be fixed.
we
could be-
do have a road plan. I don't know if you've read it or not. There is a road plan for the next 3 years that addresses every road that's gonna happen in the next 3 years. We're also applying for a STRAP grant, was it 2019?
Mm-hmm.
We just got a $1 million grant, we're not eligible for 3 more years. That $1 million grant, should we get it in 2019, which we should have a pretty high likelihood of getting it, actually addresses Hale Road Extension, Mount Jefferson Road,
Flag.
Cross Road, Flag Road's gonna get redone. So that is all on the plan in the next 3 years.
And the rest of it is based on what we have for Chapter 90 money and everything that we can put at it responsibly to roads that's not necessarily part of equipment or other things that we need to
'Cause
use
I'm not
goes
looking
towards it.
forward to having my taxes go up $1,200 a year for the next 5 years and I'm retired. I'm not looking for that. And they went up this year.
Well, how
Terribly
do you propose we get the estimated $17 million to repair all our roads?
Constructive thinking.
$17
Everything-
million.
everything we can possibly do.
Yeah, we do.
We do.
everything
We do.
Keep the
possibly
rest out
can.
of this town. Market this town. Market this town. Somebody must want to spend money to put a business in.
It's just hard without sewer and water, which costs $7 million each.
I understand.
So trust me, we've. and I-
Sewer and water are the big killer in this town.
It is. It is.
People are gonna sit there and go, we're not doing this. What, tanks? I have them pumped once a week? No, they can do it.
No, and this conversation comes up as often as it should. It's the most important one there is as far as generating additional revenue. So it's always talked about, and we're doing what we can with the known revenue sources we have in there to address what many people say is the biggest problem in town, and that's streets. With the town surveys that we've done, all that, streets comes up way up top all the time. So
I mean,
that's what we're doing.
we put almost $2.5 million in it in 2013. We put another $1 million. I mean, every year we're putting about $250,000 to $300,000 in road repair.
Oh, you can see that work being done.
Right, we're doing it.
We got way too many roads.
We do. We have 88 miles of road spread over
Wow.
42 square miles.
And there was never really any fantastic forethought, that had been done by previous administration. So it got to a point where everything was broken at
Falling
once.
Please take a hard look of cutting trees on the south side of every road up here, so you dry them out, especially the ones that aren't tar, even the ones that are tar.
Yeah,
Travis
and-
actually mentioned
I
something.
mean, I guaranteed everybody wants to have the country setting, but if you cut trees 5 feet off the wall line, which is by the road usually, anything towards the road before the wall shouldn't be there. And you look at all of them, they're 85 feet tall, they're like this, and one day they'll come down, and who's gonna be driving, who's gonna get squashed? Could be some innocent family, can happen, but at the same time, you're lowering your maintenance costs, because the sun's hitting the road, it's drying the roads, particularly in the wintertime and springtime.
It's not just that. A lot of the in addition to agreeing with you on that's what happens, it also, when you get the root systems and the stumps that grow that far, the water doesn't shed off. It sheds back on, and then it freezes and thaws and breaks. And so it's definitely a problem. It's just
I mean, the town definitely has an issue because a lot of our land's DMR protected. It's a watershed, we're a watershed community. But something, I would think, you can have a conversation with DMR that says, hey, we gotta do something, you guys are killing us. You're not even letting us put drainage off the roads.
Oh, that's another issue with a lot of the roads. I mean, a lot of the roads in Hubbardston over the last 50 years were just paved over dirt cart roads. They have no drainage. I mean, when they were excavating hail, they were taking core samples to see what was underneath. A lot of it had nothing. There was no road base. There was nothing but stone.
Water.
That's why when you
So-
see, it's when you see rocks that make their appearance above on roads like that, you know that there wasn't a prepared subbase,
Right.
because that stuff makes it to the surface.
So a lot of these roads is much more involved than just repaving. They all need full reclamation, drainage put in, and I mean that's why, back in 2013 we put $2.5 million into that roads project. We only we got 8 miles, 9 miles done, because it's expensive. Each one we needed drainage easements, new drainage, and it's slowly going to come along. I mean we don't have the resources, unfortunately, to just repair 20 miles of roads.
And we are shortly going to be getting this whole southern 68 section repaved to Rutland, and then we are on the docket for the Main Street portion as well as the north of 68 by funds not by us, by the state. So there is a real master plan at work. It's
I
just
know when you drive that
can't
road,
go
you
fast.
sit there and you go, well, 68 north, which one's worse, 68 south or 68 north? And what's the time frame that that's supposed to last? If you're not regrading a road, but you're just repaving a road, you're gonna get maybe the most 10 years out of that pavement, depending on what you're going through. If you're going through a wetland, you're not getting it. You're gonna get 3, max.
They're not gonna just repave them.
no, they're filled up reclamation. It's a whole full reconstruction with all drainage and all that stuff. So the 68 stuff it's all been formally designed. $100,000 was allocated at town meeting in 2012 or whatever for the specific design of that. So those are full drainage, every consideration you can make, going through wetlands or not through wetlands because there's no wetlands to go through, but dealing with culverts and dealing with all that. So I think that's been responsibly attacked. And
What about gravel roads? Right now, I have to have my truck in first gear with my foot off the gas to do the end piece of Mount Jeff. Never mind the people that live there.
yeah, no, not just rough. I get you.
Have you called the DPW?
It's their job.
No, I know, but
It's supposed to be riding around.
yeah, all right, you're right.
You know,
it's
when
the
you get
job.
3 days of rain, you're gonna have some potholes,
You're right.
especially the rain we just got. I just dug down 24 inches in my yard and I hit water. I accept it because that's where I'm at, but
Well, the 2019 plan, should we get the STRAP grant, which we're very hopeful for, the entirety of Mount Jeff was on that to be paved, as along with Flag Road and that whole section up there. So it's in the plan. I mean, that's all we can tell you. It's in the plan. That's all we can do.
This year, are we gonna do New Westminster, towards the Westminster line?
Just a small section
Yeah,
near
where-
Lombard where it's all,
Near Lombard,
From
where it's all
Mare Meadow
yes,
to the Westminster line, then Adams, and then I
Yep,
believe is
yep.
getting,
and some
and then
and
some in
Pinecrest.
Pinecrest. That's for this year.
Right. So they're try to keep it in that area over there.
To save on mobilization
Yep.
of the equipment.
Mhm.
Okay. But back
Right.
to some of the roads that are, years ago, they did gravel a lot of roads, they got from the town pit. And you'll notice like Williamsville, how wide it is. That was done in, I'd say, the 80s, and they gravelled all that, and the town did all the drainage themselves. And when you go on, like Old Princeton, off of 68 by the Wachusett lumber sign, that's nice and wide. The town did that. They put all the gravel, the drainage, all the way up by Meagher's, where you overlook Comet Pond.
Yep.
That's why that road is so wide, and then, the asphalt's starting to deteriorate, but the town did gravel all those roads, and they did do a lot of roads like that, and that's why you'll see out there a decent width, like by Ron Burton's training camp. You go past there, it's real wide. That's the town did the due diligence back then.
It's a stark difference between the good roads and the bad
Yeah.
roads, and that's how it's. If you live on one of those roads,
Like
that's
there's
bad.
a section of High Bridge that they never did because they wouldn't let them cut the trees by the apartments.
Hmm.
That's why that's so narrow and crappy there.
All right. Anything else on roads?
thank you.
Okay.
Okay, next up is streetlights.
Yeah, I should put this on there because we were at last Thursday had a town center committee meeting, and we had someone who attended who was wondering about questions, I guess both related to the town center reconstruction project, conceptual design, whether or not streetlights were going to be incorporated, which was applicable to our town center committee meeting because we do and have discussed whether or not there would be ornamental lighting, whether there'd be no lighting, all the different things that we'll talk about over the next however long until that project gets designed. And then there were some questions outside of the scope of the town center committee meeting, which is what I felt, which had to do with specific streetlights on Main Street at the intersection of Williamsville, how dangerous it can be in the wintertime, that sort of thing. So I just asked it be put on here. I didn't know maybe she would show up, but hasn't. Whether or not we need to discuss it any further, or if nothing else, at least look into what lights work on Main Street.
Yep, so Travis is still looking, particularly at the light that she had mentioned at the corner of Williamsville and Main Street. So I just wanted to highlight, it's about $1,200 a light, National Grid.
A year.
A year, controlled by National Grid. So if you do wanna look at turning on more lights, I would suggest also look into LED lights.
Yep.
Cause that might save a little money.
But
But-
what do we need more lights on for?
Some people are complaining it's too dark.
But as I can tell, because I'm on the town center committee with a number of town center residents,
Do they ask for more
No.
streetlights?
they do not want street
Yeah.
light. I mean, it's just so bright in their houses. So, but again, this Williamsville's separate. That's sort of on the
Yeah.
corner. It's that was a safety issue we brought up was so.
She said it was too dark when you come to the stop and you're gonna take a left or a right, it's
Yeah.
just much too dark.
Go ahead.
Just fix the pothole. That bear of a pothole that's right there when you do the U coming off of 68 to go up Williamsville. That bad boy's about 7 foot by 3 foot wide, and you have to do that corner kind of tight because the way it's
Oh,
designed.
right at the
way
edge of the
it's-
church?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy on 1 Williamsville has his light on his barn lights that whole intersection. I don't see how that's an issue.
Again, and I'm not saying I'm just felt a responsibility to put it on the agenda here because it was brought up and we didn't answer it specifically at the town center committee meeting because it wasn't really applicable to what we were doing there, and I didn't want to answer it outside of this forum. So that's why it's on there.
How much does it cost to run
That's
one
$1,200 a light
Per
Why?
year, per month.
per year.
The street light on my driveway doesn't cost that much as this street light. I get charged every month. I get a bill.
That's the bill we have,
Really?
$12.65 a year
Mine's
per
like
light. So we
Yeah,
budget.
my street light, it's a street light.
And you pay for it, correct?
Yeah, I pay for it. I get a
I know
separate
someone
bill.
else did, and that number sounded kind of high to me
Yeah, that
too.
sounds ridiculously high. It's usually about $5 a month, maybe 10 in the winter. But in the summertime, it's less than $5. No joke. And it goes on automatically and off
It's on a
automatically.
photo cell.
Yes.
Maybe there's some rental thing.
What
that-
if the cost to put it in is in that?
Maybe let's look into one.
Yeah, maybe that's to install a light.
Maybe you're getting
Yeah.
a deal.
I don't
But
think so.
we're not.
Yeah.
Be
Don't.
quiet.
Yeah, municipal deal.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so next item is Katie, 250th fireworks location possibilities.
Okay. What have you magically?
We have
And causing
two
problems
spots.
everywhere.
We have two potential spots, Comet Pond
Mhm.
and Mount Jeff.
And you mean the pond?
The pond,
The
there's
pond.
a barge
A
on the
barge.
pond. People can sit at the boat ramp or at the beach, and they're gonna be set up in the middle of the pond
Mhm.
on a barge. It's logistically a nightmare for the police. With
Yeah.
parking, they would have to shut down half of 68. There'd be a lot of parking on 62.
It's quite a haul to come
What
up.
about DCR?
DCR is.
We have a permit, the fireworks people are, and also, the representative's office are expediting and working, and we could get it done, it's just going to be, logistically painful for the police department, and they asked that we change the date of the fireworks, which then means the firework people want us to change the location, because then that makes it logistically hard for them to Mount Jeff. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword.
Why does
so,
the police department want us to change the date?
Because if it's an all-day event, and then you're dealing with people who may linger at the beer garden.
well, the beer garden will be shut down, but that doesn't mean they're not gonna find someplace else to keep
Right.
on drinking.
The
Okay.
amount of staff that we have that's gonna start working at early in the morning, and then go right through to the end of fireworks, probably about 9:30, 10
Yeah,
o'clock at
that's
night.
a lot
It's
of
gonna be a
overtime.
lot of overtime.
We could also get external details. Doesn't have to be
It
from this town.
Doesn't matter. It's still a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's a lot
It's
of
about
money
$48 an hour for external.
and a lot of time. And they asked if they would like us to change the date.
48's the rate on a non-municipal project too, even if it's just something that we
Mhm.
pay.
That's in our contract.
It's expensive.
Yeah, so I already have a bill for, just for that day from the police, which will change a little bit if we move it to the other date, at Mount Jeff.
How much will it change?
Not a lot, but it will drop it supposedly a little bit. I don't have any hard numbers, but because there won't be the amount of overtime that keeps rolling, because there's only so many bodies.
How much can it possibly cost to have a day of?
Well, for her to
You-
have
you
a day
want-
of
you want the
police,
bill?
it's
Yeah.
$5,000.
Okay, oh, yeah,
What?
it's $5,000,
$5,000.
right here,
Okay.
For police details.
yeah.
For police
For-
coverage between coverage for the town, then coverage at the park, and then coverage for,
Because there's the parade, then the fair, then there's a gap, then it would be the fireworks. And then you still have to get everybody out from the fireworks. So that makes it, you're talking, a 14-hour day.
Do you have $5,000 in your account?
Yes.
I mean-
I'm good. I'm got the budget I got everything going. The thing is also the other thing that will cost more money is if we do it on the barge, the fireworks are more expensive.
Do you have the money
Then
for
if we
that?
do it, yes, but
Okay.
we'd have to swap
Swap what?
money from my account into, or whatever. It would have to be signed off fireworks, because the fireworks account is separate from my account.
we had the 7,500,
Yeah.
that was what it is, so there would have to be an additional,
How much? Do you know? How much more?
Yeah,
think
it's
it's
1,500.
I mean, we got one chance to do this right. That's we've been saying this for a long, long
Yeah.
time.
And
We're
that's
looking
what
into
the money's set aside for.
it's money set aside for it. If we have it, I'd say we just whatever's most.
What does Atlas like?
Atlas doesn't really, we just need a decision. One way or the other, because I'm in the middle of making a banner, I'm in the middle of trying to do this, and we're on the 11th hour to pull the trigger on this.
What do you like?
I really don't care. I just want a happy day for everybody.
so Common Pond's probably a reality. The issue that we have with Mount Jeff is we have to talk to the family that does the mowing and make sure that they are able to do it in time for the fields to be cleared.
But then is there like a bobo lengths issue?
Well, there is one field
But we
that
can
has to stay until
Yeah.
July for the bobolinks.
So we stay out of that field, and we get the fields mowed for the rest. Parking would be easier, and the police would be happier. And it would be cheaper,
Different day though.
but a different day,
Like what day?
the next day.
Sunday?
Yes,
Father's Day.
yes.
Father's
So Sunday night.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sunday
Yeah.
night. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not going during the day.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true.
Fireworks
Right,
would
but it's
kind
but
of
it
be
is Father's
pointless.
Day.
If we do it the same day, it's a much longer issue for the police. They're fearful of how many arrests they're going to have to make due to some issues with intoxication. And also, it's logistically a parking
Behave
nightmare.
yourself, Jamie.
Yeah, that's. I mean, the problem with Comet Pond, where it'd be cool to have it on a barge, is
Yeah.
there's really is no good parking at either spot.
Mhm.
No.
So you're gonna be all up and down 62 and 68.
Yes.
The beach area, I mean, we can certainly make it up the driveway there, but that's gonna be tough for some people to get up that driveway up into the beach. to
Does
walk- to
Lane
walk
still pay that?
Yes,
Well, why don't we just call him and see?
we have.
We have. We're just waiting.
No
We
answer
just,
yet.
he needs to speak to his brother to see if he can hang it before the 17th. And we're just waiting to hear back.
And if he says yes, let's do it. If he says no, comment on. What are our options?
There's
Is
not-
the rec,
there's not
the
a
rec
lot.
field is off limits,
It's off.
Yeah, we
Butters.
can't. Kelly won't.
even with
With
an
the-
insurance policy?
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
What about the DCR land that was behind Tom Bracco's house that he mentioned?
You have where you're parking.
I've listened to the conversation, and we've had a couple of neighbors that have put the kibosh to it because of their proximity. Are you gonna have the same situation with all the people on Comet Pond? Do they have to get consent from all of them?
DCR owns the pond.
They own the pond.
Yes.
We own the rec
Yeah.
field, and the neighbors give us.
Well, that's a little different. It's a pallet factory right next door. So, and it is right up against it. This would be on the water, and some of the people on Comet Pond have come in and said, "Why don't you do it on Comet
Well,
Pond?"
I'm
Yeah,
just,
I
I
know.
just don't wanna
It's-
see it have some one person come in and nix it. and
Yeah, I know.
say-
That could happen at Mount Jeff too. Somebody could come in and complain. Realistically, anyone can come in and
The
complain.
gravel pits.
Yeah.
You still have no
Yeah.
parking.
Thought
What
about that.
amazes me is Rutland does it right in the center of their
I know.
town every year,
I'm
I know.
aware.
and we can't even find one place in town.
I'm well aware.
All right.
Trust
So
me.
what we gonna do?
Okay,
I'm
so
well aware.
the conclusion is gonna come quickly, so what we can do is do what Pat said, if If we can't get Mount Jeff, then we'll do Comet Pond. The issue is that the contract for Atlas is right now at 7,500, and we can't wait until the 30th for you to approve it. So if you want to approve it, that I can sign it.
Sure.
Once we have the place, then we can at least get that contract in.
Okay. So basically what we're approving is allocating money from that account
Yes.
to the fireworks account.
Right.
Okay.
And you have enough money in the 250 account
Yeah.
to cover the barge if
Yes.
needed.
I can go over numbers with you all day long if you like. Well, not really. Take
Ed
it.
Blanchard also
Thank you.
volunteered to barge.
What?
Ed Blanchard also volunteered to barge if we needed it.
Whoa.
He's
Yeah,
very
that's one.
excited.
Yes.
All right. Well,
All right, so I'll make a motion to, number one, approve Mount Jeff as the number one fireworks site. If unavailable because of haying, then we'll approve Comet Pond.
and the transfer of
I'll make that a separate motion.
I'll second that then.
discussion. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to allow town administrator to approve an additional $1,000 transfer, if needed, for Comet Pond fireworks.
Do you want?
$1,500.
$1,500
Thank you.
transfer.
And they'll authorize me to approve the contract.
And authorize her to approve the contract.
I'll second that.
Discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
And then the final thing is Wayne's, our
Yes.
chainsaw person is
Needs.
requiring a different commitment letter. You approved him last time, he's the chainsaw guy.
Yeah, what was the name of his,
Wayne
Chainsaw man or something.
DeMorn, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. He's gonna do
Chainsaw wood
the
knives.
bench.
Yeah, chainsaw carving man. So if
That's
you can
his-
just sign this updated
That's
letter.
his specific to him.
oh, so we're signing for
Yeah.
acceptance?
Yes.
All right, so I'll
Yeah.
make a motion for the chair to sign the updated acceptance letter.
I'll second that.
Discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Artist's interpretation of design is fine.
I'm hoping for the best.
Okay, and that is all for the 250th.
Okay.
Thanks so much for all you've done.
Thank you, Katie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is wage authorizations and appointments. There's two wage authorizations for DPW. The first is, I'm gonna butcher these names, Joshua Kliski is full-time, and Roger Lavassier was our seasonal cemetery helper. These are
Was.
retroactive, Joshua is retroactive to May 22nd, and Roger is retroactive to May 11th.
All right, so I'll make a motion to approve the wage authorization as presented.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
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 And then there's our Board of Registrars appointment for Richard Cunningham.
I'll make a motion to approve the appointment of Richard Cunningham to the Board of Registrars.
I'll second that.
Discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, next item is the Country Hen Scholarship.
Yep.
I don't have any information for it.
Oh, yeah, you wanna?
Are you dealing with it?
So, I don't know how much do you want me to go into?
Well, we had just let us know how many applicants we had and what the results of the votes were.
Okay, we had 2 applicants, and the results are Michael Chamberlain, that's his name, right?
I think so.
Yeah, Michael Chamberlain.
Yep. So,
Okay.
I don't know, sort of exactly what we wanna do next, but what we talked about is, last year what we did, was they presented the scholarship at the school committee meeting. This year, the next one is after graduation. So the next school committee meeting is like June 8th or something like that, so it's
Oh,
after
okay.
graduation. So I was thinking, and talking to Tanya about it, is that we invite Debbie and family in to present it at our next board meeting.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Where's he going to school?
Is this Stonehill? Is that-
Maybe.
Yes, Stonehill.
Do you want Sheila from Country Hen there as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She can present it.
Okay. Okay, next up is committee updates.
Okay, so building committee, I don't know how much you guys have been sort of in the loop of what's been going on with the bid process, but last time I was here, we had received filed sub bids, which are the different trades that were applicable to the work, and the numbers that we were receiving were in line with what our owner's project manager's estimate was and all that. However, I've been kind of checking in on how many people were holding plans, general contractors were holding plans on the project, and how many questions the architect was getting, because that's an important indicator of how deeply contractors are looking into the actual solicitation package, which is the plans and specifications, and it was just, you know, feeling like there just wasn't a lot of interest. There's a tremendous amount of work out there in vertical construction right now, and trades are just turning work down. It's sort of, it's like that what I do. I think it's kind of like that what you're doing. So it's just really busy out there. Anyway, we the owner's project manager leading up to the final actual bid, which was last week, was thinking maybe we'd get 2 or 3, and we ended up getting 1, and it is approximately $1 million more than what the architect's original estimate was. So as a on the building committee last Friday, we met. Susan's on it, and we voted to either reject or recommend to the board to reject that bid, because it's the first piece of administration that we have to do to get past it. You know, we discussed it and what the bidder was and all that stuff, and then to the post bid feedback from the owner's project manager and the architect is something that happens a lot. Say you get a bid, you can't talk to the architect about numbers beforehand, but after the bid, the architect can call and say, hey, what's so high? So a lot of information was given to some, like 3 or 4 very significant specific items that are going to be redesigned. Now, we were a little cranky with our architect and owner's project manager, you know, rightfully so, and not, you know, it's not 100% their fault because it's time of year and you can't force people to bid on projects, especially out in Hubbardston. But they agreed to perform all of the additional redesign to implement some of these recommendations they got from the bidders who were asking them questions, who said, you know, why do you have this type of insulation? That's 50 grand extra, you know, that sort of thing for no cost. So they're going to do the additional bidding services as well from our owner's project manager. That's going to be at no cost. And we propose to the select board to do a special town meeting in the fall, which is what Ryan was referencing before, October 24th, to get it so that it's a better bidding environment and not just give up. So that's where that stands. So I guess, do we have to vote to formally reject the bid? Because I don't know that the town center committee can do that. I don't know.
I mean, the building committee already refused it.
Yep.
If you want to, just
I think we should.
as a board.
I'll make a motion to reject the bid for the senior center.
I'll second it.
Discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
I'll abstain.
Do you think there wasn't a lot of bidders because we put this out so many times and people just say it's a waste of time?
No, I don't. It's pretty clearly the size of the project, the location probably, the amount of work that's out there right now. It's just, I mean, there's a company, electric company, I won't go into specific names, who bids every project.
And
Didn't bid it. I mean, literally every project.
yeah.
And any size, and they didn't bid it. There's so much work out there. So hopefully what we're, you know, doing this October town meeting to potentially, you know, the bidding process would have gone before then, as you get it so that people you potentially have a project where you can get the foundation in before the winter time and you use it as winter work.
Yeah.
You know, so that's geared that way to try to see if somebody can get hungry and give us a much better bid. So, okay.
Did the building committee at all discuss the results of the town survey with for support of the senior center at all?
Yes, so that was actually, it wasn't specifically by the building committee, but there was a member of the audience who brought that up right away during our last meeting and said that the survey showed overwhelming support for public safety building versus public safety, and then I think municipal, and then senior center. So it's a tough one because, you know, we got this money given to us. It's just speaking as a building committee member, and, you know, I guess as a board member, but as a building committee, we were tasked with to get it to the town to vote, not have anybody but the full town decide if they want this thing or not, having been given $500,000 by the state to do the design and all the stuff that we've done. So, you know, I think it was meeting 32 on Friday.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that, and there'll be more. And I still, in my opinion, want to get it to a point where we are giving the town the vote. These can all be a little long-winded here. So the QRSD task force, we last Wednesday, the Collins Center did phase 2 of their presentation. Last time they had done phase 1, and I think I'd indicated they had like 11 or 14 proposals. I can't remember the exact number that had to do with consolidation of classes, meaning 5th grade, 6th grade, going to the middle school, and then had to do with closures of 1, 2, and even 3 schools at times, with moving kids around all over the place. There are options of geographical reasons for it, meaning you pick the 2 middle schools and have everybody who lives within some distance from them be bused to those schools, and then there were other discussions of whole towns moving to another school. So there's just many options, and I mean, we spent a lot of money on them, and they definitely did a lot of legwork. We did indicate to them that, you know, we weren't all that happy with the fact that they didn't really factor in much what end use would be with any of these schools that got closed. And we had really wanted that to be part of the scope. It's going to be part of the scope moving forward, because we have another $100,000 that we're going to be working with the Collins Center and another outside consultant who's going to be diving into all that to say, you know, if OCAM closed, for example, and OCAM went to Barry, what that building could be used for. That wouldn't be a burden on the town, because it's just like our situation here. So, you know, overall, the sentiment from everyone on the task force, I think, not everyone, I'm not going to speak for everyone, but many members of the task force and school committee is nobody wants a school to close. Just nobody. But again, the responsibility of the task force is to look at the data for the 10 and 20 year population projections, look at this line going like that as far as how many kids, knowing that we're at 60% capacity right now and that's only going to get worse, and try to make sure everyone knows that before anything's decided or before major cuts come across the board. So that's best I can say. So the next steps right now for that are to retain a new facilitator. Okay. To retain a facilitator to start the next steps. But the school committee and administration believes that we need to have some decision on a plan of action before the next budget cycle, because otherwise they'll be cutting things that, you know, they don't want to. And not just they don't want to, but that we won't want them to. So all that sort of stuff. That's update? Good enough. Yeah.
Just a couple questions. Having worked with the Collins Center, I know their work is very good. Just thinking a little bit differently, and I don't know, you can't ignore the problem for today, knowing that what I'm thinking of and what I'm asking would take a long time, but the 2 things that come to mind is, one, has there been any thought about a collaboration amongst the area towns in or outside of the district about pooling some funds, about relitigating state funding? Because it was litigated in the 90s, and it seems time that we might have to relitigate.
Are you talking about the ratio? The ratio of
funding levels.
Right.
So we're at 60%. Well, there's the ratios, but then there's the Chapter 70 funding that just keeps going down, despite what was litigated back in the 90s. And no one town could take that on, but maybe 15 or 20 towns could take that on, knowing that's a multi-year battle. The other thing I was wondering is pursuing. So, I mean, it sort of eventually you start to fall on 10 ears, going back to our state senator, our state representative saying we need more money, we need more money, we need more money. But knowing that the population model, in 5, 10, 15, 20 years out is the way it is, it's not uncommon for other towns, is if we look at, and not just with our district, but for multiple regional district school districts, is to realign the districts. And I know they're complicated agreements, but it seems like, companies reorganize, departments reorganize. Seems like it might be time where there's better matches.
And there's a model for it. I agree. I mean, just
Right.
it's been done in other states. There's some big states that have 7 districts. They it's figure outable.
Right.
When stuff like that, and not specifically, I what you said there about pooling money for litigation necessarily has come up that I've been present for, but we are almost every time when we start talking about the state, they're never going to do anything. It's like, so I don't think it's a bad idea that if you put a lawsuit in front of them, maybe that's a little bit better versus just knocking on doors and making phone calls and all that. Maybe there's some more teeth in that. It's just, we always ask about the state, and it's just,
Because one town is not going to get,
No.
No matter how squeaky it is, it's not going to get the grease. But maybe a collaboration of towns that can pool enough money could litigate it effectively.
Which is not, as you said, it's not an immediate solution, but it's one that, eventually fixes a problem for somebody else.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's, thanks.
Just to let you know that the numbers in the kindergarten grades have been climbing in Hubbardston every year.
Which is great.
Per class.
I don't think that's the truth across the district.
It may not be across the district, but in Hubbardston, the kindergarten grades, I mean, this coming year, next year, is the highest number they've had in a couple years. And it's like, it's actually a lot, it's like 27 kids per class.
Hubbardston has school choice on that too?
I'm sure there is in there too.
But there's, if you look at the data, and there's so much data now that they've provided for us. You know, there are schools like Oakham's like 40% capacity,
Right.
or something. You know, they're like going way low, and the projections when you pop it out there further, sort of get crazy. Like if you believe those numbers, like what Michael said, absolutely valid. You can look at what might be happening now and just say forget about those people are wrong who did that study. But if you do for a moment take that study, if it's true, there's going to be some, you know, crazy low numbers in middle school and high school if the lower grades don't start creeping, but because the time you get there, it's going to be, you know,
And
40%.
certainly you may see growth in Hubbardston for a few years, or you may see steadier increased growth, but the population projections were for a district. They weren't for an individual town.
Correct.
So Barry may have good years, Hubbardston may have good years, but I'm sure Oakham and New Braintree are not going to have good years. So the overall projections are down, but individual towns don't necessarily have to follow that.
And I would add too, just on litigation, not only just the chapter 70 funding, but also the funding model for charter schools, what we pay out to charter schools versus what we pay internally to educate a child, is very disparate. And also the special education costs that we have to take in for students from out of the district that come in.
One other very important thing is school choice relative to other towns now. See, we were sort of on the forefront of school choice. I think we're number one and for a long time. We're starting to lose kids though, school choice, because that was because other towns weren't allowing it necessarily but now that across the board budgets are so constrained, all those schools have opened up to say, yeah, sure, come on over from, you know, wherever. So even though we still have a very high school choice rate in, the one out is getting higher, which is a problem. It just adds to the limited enrollment. Next committee is the Town Center Committee. So this is the just a real quick. This is from the Mass DOT, and I'd gone into this a little bit, but we got this letter. I'm just going to read the first paragraph. Dear Mr. Galante, on behalf of Mass DOT, I am writing to inform you that the Highway Division's Project Review Committee has evaluated the subject project, which is the Town Center Committee reconstruction project, conceptual design, long way to go, obviously, that it is eligible for federal aid highway funding. It is the Project Review Committee's understanding that the estimated construction cost of this project is $3 million. The total project cost will therefore consist of this estimated construction cost plus additional costs for project design, construction engineering, construction contingencies, police details, and any other costs, and environmental permitting and mitigation. And basically, we have a project number just like we had for the southern portion of Route 68. That's part of the Transportation Improvement Program for the Mass DOT. We have a project number specific to this project now, and we'll see at town meeting when we go over the line item budget that the real first phase of design to get it so that it can come off the sort of it's now in sort of limbo because it doesn't have a design, so they're not going to just go grab the project and build it. It needs a design, so there'll be a line item for a first phase of that design that's in this annual town meeting that we can discuss further. Okay?
Bylaw Review Committee's not meeting till the fall.
Okay.
So I'll update that. Okay, Town Administrator Report. First item is the American Disability Act grievance policy and form. As you remember, last time we appointed Larry to be our point man on that, and so this is the next step, is reviewing and approving the policy and the form, and then once that is approved, we can take the next step and do an evaluation of the town. And so if I could just have you approve the policy and the form.
I'll make a motion to approve the policy and form as presented.
I'll second that.
Discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
Yes?
Next is with the ballot question for the June 13th. You did approve a ballot question for the senior center for the June election. However, now that we're not going to be doing that vote, I informed the town clerk that while you did approve the wording and the placement of the question on the ballot, the need for the ballot question has been removed. So that's that. Jamie Haddad had some issues and wanted to have a discussion about placing more advertising for the Ragged Hill lots and the cell tower lease. Did you wanna address that?
Yeah, mainly for the house lots, to get some more advertising out there, and maybe we could put it on the billboard, at the rec field for a week
Okay.
or two. Just, we have house lots for sale.
Is it possible, and I don't, again, know the municipal law behind this, but can it go on the MLS system? So
We have
realtors can see it?
alerted some realtors about it. I mean,
Can't
certainly
pin.
see if some can put it on there.
Excuse me, it can if you sign a lease agreement, I'm sorry, a listing agreement with a realtor.
Oh, that's how that works. Huh. We could do
So you
that.
have to pick a realtor.
Right.
And then
He's,
pay.
Vin's
or
raising his hand.
Facebook.
Oh, no, we don't wanna go there.
So we'd have to go out to bid to a realtor, maybe?
They
But
will,
if we could just advertise it in Leominster paper or the Worcester Telegram that we have
Okay,
direct them to the website, cause you have to bid on these lots, correct?
yes.
Yes.
Jeez.
I just think it would give us a little more, and it's $161.84 for the Leominster paper, and
Telegram's
Telegram
122.
$122, and that's per ad, that's for,
So we would have to advertise it twice.
okay.
The Sentinel Enterprise is more expensive than the TNG?
That's the price they quoted us.
The Globe's 300, and
Mhm.
maybe the Leominster, if you guys think it's a good idea, I mean, we could get, market value.
How much
possibly.
interest did we get last time?
I believe I passed out maybe about 8 or 9, but zero
Zero
came
bids?
back.
But even the town billboard, that's free.
Yeah.
That's worth throwing it on there.
So what would you like to do?
Would you guys be up for, putting it in the Telegram and Gazette?
TNG? Yeah.
TNG's fine.
And, alright. Do I have to make a motion to?
I would.
Make a motion to run an ad in the Telegram and Gazette. And would that be for both, Rhiann? For the cell tower and the house lots?
For the Worcester Telegram?
Yeah, one-
Yes, that's the same cost.
Okay, yeah. For the for the towers and the house lots.
You wanna do both?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll second that.
Discussion?
Oh, Vin had a question.
Just points of information when you finish with your vote, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yes.
All in favor? Yes.
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 Two things. There is a way to list it in the MLS system if you wanted to go through a realtor who would put it in just as a posting, or obviously you could hire somebody to represent the town, which was a good idea, quite frankly. But I was also just happened today to be reading the announcement, and the offer, I'll call it the offer that we have, lists a section, Appendix A, I believe it is, for, I'm sorry, I'm missing this word. The, section that's reserved for the,
I want to finish for you. I just.
please, come on, begins with a C. Oh, goodness.
communications stuff?
No, the,
Central Register?
conservation, yeah, the
Conservation
conservation
restriction?
easement, that's what I was trying to say. Sorry about that.
Hey, you got there.
But it came up blank. Appendix A was blank on the website, and I don't know, if somebody reads it, and like I say, they wanna know what the whole information is, and it's coming up blank, so if there's gonna be a conservation restriction on the deeds,
Mhm.
it just may be good to add that on, so.
We don't have any conservation restrictions on them.
Okay. Well, we don't have any.
Well, it's in the offer.
All right. Oh,
It's
yeah. I
part of
see.
the offer, we
So it's
oughta
confusing.
delete it then, and,
Okay.
you know,
We'll
so
check on it.
it's not there, but it's
Rhiann,
just confusing.
can we also put the phone number for the town office in the ad,
Okay.
as along with an email address, just in case someone's not computer
This
literate
email
or
doesn't
something?
work.
Okay, next up is the Community Compact IT grant. I applied for about $65,000, and it was several things. It was the Gmail move, it was 2 softwares for Joyce, GIS mapping upgrade, and then permitting software. So Matt from IT, Mass IT called me, and they said they had given out some pretty big grants already, but they would be willing to give us $2,100 for the Gmail move. And so I questioned him, and I said, well, if we accept this, can we not apply next year? And so he had to come back to me a couple days later, he said, yes, if you accept the 2,100, you can't apply again next year. So we agreed that I would refuse the 2,100, cause it's already in the budget anyway, and then next year we would work together to see what the town's needs were and go for a bigger number, so. Next is the board interested in broadcasting meetings live on Facebook?
Maybe
Is
someday.
there- okay, not right now, cause there
Yeah,
is
we're pretty
a,
well.
box that you can put on, that way you can broadcast live,
I don't know, I think we're doing a pretty good job right now of
okay?
videotaping
Pass it
stuff.
on.
Unless anybody really wants to.
Next is a declaration from Wheelock College, the National Center for Race and Amity. We'd like you to recognize June 11th as Race Amity Day. Amity Day, sorry. Governor Baker did it back in March, and would the board like to take a position on the proclamation?
I recommend we handle this as we have handled some of these sort of proclamation requests in the past, and take that stance.
That's what I figured. Just an announcement, candidates night will be on Thursday, June 1st at 6:30. The event will not be televised live, but will be recorded for YouTube and public access viewing soon after.
Okay.
Next is a citation for Connie Bumpus. She is 100 years old and she has lived in town for 90 years. And on May 18th, the Senior Center will be celebrating her being the oldest living person in Hubbardston. So if the board can make a motion and sign.
I got sucked into a Wikipedia hole with the Boston Post cane thing. You guys know what that is? Yeah, it's the oldest person in town. Every town, back up a long, long time ago, this guy gave really, really nice, fancy cane to every town and said the oldest person in each town gets to hold the Boston Post cane till they die, and then they pass it along to the next one. So it's sort of one of those situations where you're happy to have it, and then you have to die to lose it. So
Yeah, and everybody that gets it doesn't want it.
right.
All right, so I'll make a motion to accept the citation for Connie Bumpus and congratulate her on her 100 years.
I'll second that.
And then also if anybody can attend,
Do you know what time it is?
It-
I believe it's at 1:30.
It is.
I
I
can double check.
had a conflict. I couldn't go, and I didn't know if Jeff had commented to you.
Jeff did not.
Or is he not going to even be here? Thursday?
Yeah, he won't be here.
Okay.
Oh, it's Thursday. I can't go.
Pat.
Maybe. I'm not gonna commit. I don't know where I'll be.
Okay. And then
It's a
finally,
possibility.
an anonymous person has donated a US flag large enough for the town common, and they want to remain anonymous. However, if you could please sign a thank you letter for them,
Absolutely.
Sure.
But don't make their name public.
don't make their name public.
Leanne, is the current flag in need of retirement?
It is, and also the one at the park.
Scouts will take that.
Okay.
Rand, where did the one from the State House go?
It's going up at the park.
Okay, and that's worn out?
Yes.
Worn out.
Okay, no meeting minutes to approve. Any old business?
No, I don't.
Okay.
So you want to go to public press question and answer first?
Yes.
Okay, so we do have an executive session item that we'll be bringing up in a little bit, but wanted to make sure we gave an opportunity for the public or press to ask or make any comments. Anyone here for that? No? None? Okay.
Okay, so, motion to go into
All
executive
right,
session?
I'll make a motion to go into executive session for exemption 1. Do I have to read the whole thing?
Yes.
Okay. To discuss the reputation, character, physical condition, or mental health, rather than professional competence of an individual, or discuss the discipline of, or complaints or charges against a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual.
Does anybody like to prefer to have this in open session? You wanted an open session? Tom? No open session? So it's executive still? All right, so I need a roll call. Mike?
Yes.
Dan?
We
Yes.
do have it, we don't have a second.
Oh,
I'll second that.
okay. Mike?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Pat?
Yes.
Jamie?
Yes.
Okay.